Hello, everyone. I'm Elena, your host for today's lesson. And today we have something I know so many of you have been waiting for. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that right now and press the bell icon so you never miss a lesson. We upload new lessons every single day, and every lesson is designed to take your English one step further. Today, we are doing something that I genuinely believe will change the way you speak English forever. We are covering 300 English words that are almost universally mispronounced by learners. Words from everyday life, food, medicine, technology, geography, science, the arts, and so much more. Words that appear in conversations, in news reports, in films and television, in workplaces and classrooms all over the world. Words that sound nothing like they are spelled. Now, before we begin, I want to say something important. Pronunciation is one of the most overlooked areas in English learning. Most learners focus on vocabulary and grammar, and then wonder why native speakers sometimes struggle to understand them. The truth is this. You can know every word in the dictionary, but if you mispronounce it, the message is lost. And English spelling is one of the most unreliable guides to pronunciation in any language. The word kernel looks like it should be kol-o-nel, but it is actually pronounced kernel. The word Q looks like it should have 5 sounds, but you only say the letter Q. The word Wednesday looks like Wednesday, but every native speaker says Wednesday. This is exactly why today's lesson exists. Not to embarrass you, never that, but to give you the confidence that comes from knowing you are being heard and understood exactly as you intended. Today, we cover 12 categories, 25 words each, 300 in total. For every word, I will give you the common mispronunciation, the correct pronunciation, and a natural example sentence, so the word is anchored in real language. Repeat every correct pronunciation after me, every single time, because pronunciation only moves into your muscle memory through repetition and use. Grab your pen and paper, and let us begin. Category 1. Everyday words that trick everyone. These are 25 words from daily life that almost every English learner mispronounces. And the wonderful thing is that once you hear the correct version, you will wonder how you ever said it any other way. Word 1, Wednesday. Common mispronunciation, Wednesday. Correct pronunciation, Wednesday. The middle syllable is completely silent in natural speech. Example, I have a dentist appointment on Wednesday, so I'll need to leave the office a little early. Repeat, Wednesday, Wednesday. Word 2, February. Common mispronunciation, February. Correct pronunciation, February. The first R is silent in natural spoken English. Example, the charity gala is in February and tickets are already selling out faster than anyone expected. Repeat, February, February. Word 3, library. Common mispronunciation, library. Correct pronunciation, library. Both the R sounds must be present. This is a 3-syllable word. Example, she spent every Saturday morning at the library working through the entire fiction collection shelf by shelf. Repeat, library, library. Word 4, comfortable. Common mispronunciation, comfortable. Correct pronunciation, comfortable. This is only 3 syllables in natural speech, not 4. Example: the new chair is incredibly comfortable, and I have barely moved from it since it arrived on Tuesday. Repeat. Comfortable, comfortable. Word 5. Temperature. Common mispronunciation. Temperature. Correct pronunciation. Temperature. This is 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable is swallowed. Example: the temperature dropped overnight, and by morning there was frost on every window in the house. Repeat. Temperature, temperature. Word 6. Vegetable. Common mispronunciation. Vegetable. Correct pronunciation. Vegetable. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable almost disappears. Example: she grows her own vegetables in the garden, and there is always something fresh on the dinner table. Repeat. Vegetable, vegetable. Word 7. Different. Common mispronunciation. Different. Correct pronunciation. Different. Native speakers reduce this to 2 syllables in normal conversation. Example: the 2 proposals are very different in terms of cost, and I think we need to look at both carefully. Repeat. Different, different. Word 8. Interesting. Common mispronunciation. Interesting. Correct pronunciation. Interesting. 3 syllables in natural speech. The second E disappears entirely. Example: the documentary was so interesting that nobody moved from the sofa for the entire 2 hours. Repeat. Interesting, interesting. Word 9. Jewelry. Common mispronunciation. Jewelry. Correct pronunciation. Jewelry. Only 2 syllables in natural British English speech. Americans say jewelry with 3. Example: she inherited a beautiful collection of jewelry from her grandmother and wears a different piece every day. Repeat. Jewelry, jewelry. Word 10. Particularly. Common mispronunciation. Particularly. Correct pronunciation. Particularly. Native speakers often drop the R in the final syllable and reduce the word considerably. Example: I'm not particularly worried about the presentation. I've done it enough times that it feels natural now. Repeat. Particularly, particularly. Word 11. Probably. Common mispronunciation. Probably. Correct pronunciation. Probably. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable is almost always dropped. Example: we'll probably finish the report by Thursday, but it depends on how quickly the data comes in. Repeat. Probably, probably. Word 12. Secretary. Common mispronunciation. Secretary. Correct pronunciation. Secretary. 3 syllables in British English. The middle syllable collapses. Example: the secretary organized the entire conference in under a week, and not a single detail was missed. Repeat. Secretary, secretary. Word 13. Chocolate. Common mispronunciation. Chocolate. Correct pronunciation. Chocolate. Only 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle vowel disappears entirely. Example: She brought a box of chocolate to the meeting, and it was gone before the first agenda item was finished. Repeat. Chocolate, chocolate. Word 14. Family. Common mispronunciation. Family. Correct pronunciation. Family. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle I is almost always swallowed. Example. They try to have dinner together as a family at least 4 evenings a week, no matter how busy things get. Repeat. Family. Family. Word 15. Every. Common mispronunciation. Every. Correct pronunciation. Every. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle vowel is dropped almost universally. Example. Every morning she takes 20 minutes to plan her day and says it completely changes her productivity. Repeat. Every. Every. Word 16. Average. Common mispronunciation. Average. Correct pronunciation. Average. 2 syllables in natural speech. Example. The average commute in this city has increased by 15 minutes over the past 3 years. Repeat. Average. Average. Word 17. Camera. Common mispronunciation. Camera. Correct pronunciation. Camera. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle vowel disappears. Example. She borrowed a professional camera for the trip and came back with photographs that looked completely stunning. Repeat. Camera. Camera. Word 18. Realize. Common mispronunciation. Realize. Correct pronunciation. Realize. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable collapses entirely. Example. I didn't realize how late it was until the office was almost completely empty around me. Repeat. Realize. Realize. Word 19. Usually. Common mispronunciation. Usually. Correct pronunciation. Usually. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable is compressed. Example. I usually get to the office by 8:30, but on Mondays I try to arrive a little earlier to plan the week. Repeat. Usually. Usually. Word 20. Literally. Lis. Common mispronunciation. Literally. Correct pronunciation. Literally. 3 syllables in natural speech. The second syllable almost disappears. Example. I literally hadn't thought about it until you mentioned it just now, and now I can't stop thinking about it. Repeat. Literally. Literally. Word 21. Natural. Common mispronunciation. Natural. Correct pronunciation. Natural. 2 syllables in natural speech. Example. Her speaking style is so natural that audiences always forget they are watching a prepared presentation. Repeat. Natural. Natural. Word 22. Actually. Common mispronunciation. Actually. Correct pronunciation. Actually. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle U almost vanishes. Example. I actually enjoyed the meeting this time, which is not something I expected to be saying at all. Repeat. actually, actually. Word 23, especially. Common mispronunciation, especially. Correct pronunciation, especially. 4 syllables in natural speech, but the middle collapses considerably. Example, she was especially proud of the design team whose work made the whole project look far better than expected. Repeat, especially, especially. Word 24, obviously. Common mispronunciation, obviously. Correct pronunciation, obviously. In natural speech, this is often compressed to obviously. Example, obviously, we would prefer to have more time, but given the deadline, we will have to make it work. Repeat, obviously, obviously. Word 25, basically. Common mispronunciation, basically. Correct pronunciation, basically. 3 syllables in natural speech. Example, basically what I'm saying is that we need a plan B before we go into that meeting tomorrow morning. Repeat, basically, basically. 25 everyday words done, and I hope you are already feeling something shift. These are not rare or academic words. These are words you use every single day, and knowing the natural pronunciation makes your English sound exactly the way it should: smooth, relaxed, and completely confident. Let us keep going. Category 2, food and drink words. These 25 words come from menus, recipes, cafes, and kitchen conversations. Food vocabulary is everywhere, and mispronouncing it can make ordering in a restaurant feel much harder than it needs to be. Word 26, croissant. Common mispronunciation, croissant or croissant. Correct pronunciation, croissant, British, or croissant, American. The T at the end is silent. This word comes directly from French. Example, she picked up a croissant and a coffee on her way to the office every Tuesday without fail. Repeat, croissant, croissant. Word 27, quinoa. Common mispronunciation, quinoa. Correct pronunciation, quinoa. Only 2 syllables. This one surprises almost everyone the first time. Example, she swapped rice for quinoa in the recipe and said the difference in texture was remarkable. Repeat, quinoa, quinoa. Word 28, bruschetta. Common mispronunciation, bruschetta. Correct pronunciation, bruschetta. The CH makes a K sound in Italian, and this word kept its Italian pronunciation in English. Example, the bruschetta at that restaurant is extraordinary. The tomatoes are always perfectly seasoned and fresh. Repeat, bruschetta, bruschetta. Word 29, espresso. Common mispronunciation, espresso. Correct pronunciation, espresso. There is no X in this word. It begins with ES, not EX. Example, she only drinks espresso in the mornings and says anything weaker doesn't get her through the first hour. Repeat, espresso, espresso. Word 30, acai. Common mispronunciation, acai or acai. Correct pronunciation, acai. 3 syllables. The accent on the final I tells you to stress the last syllable. Example, The acai bowl at that cafe is absolutely beautiful, and the portions are generous enough to share. Repeat. Acai, acai. Word 31. Gyro. Common mispronunciation. Gyro. Correct pronunciation. Gyro. The G makes a Y sound. This is a Greek word that kept its original pronunciation. Example. The gyro stand near the market does the best one in the city, and the line is always out the door by noon. Repeat. Gyro, gyro. Word 32. Worcestershire. Common mispronunciation. Worcestershire. Correct pronunciation. Worcestershire. This is one of the most famous spelling traps in English. 3 syllables from what looks like 7. Example. Add a dash of Worcestershire sauce to the marinade and you'll notice an immediate depth of flavor. Repeat. Worcestershire, Worcestershire. Word 33. Prosciutto. Common mispronunciation. Prosciutto. Correct pronunciation. Prosciutto. The SC makes an SH sound in Italian, which English has kept. Example. The prosciutto was draped over fresh melon, and it was one of the most elegant appetizers I've ever had. Repeat. Prosciutto, prosciutto. Word 34. Gnocchi. Common mispronunciation. Gnocchi or gnocchi. Correct pronunciation. Gnocchi. The G is completely silent. This is another Italian word. Example. The gnocchi was so light and perfectly pillowy that she ordered a second portion without hesitation. Repeat. Gnocchi, gnocchi. Word 35. Sorbet. Common mispronunciation. Sorbet. Correct pronunciation. Sorbet. The T at the end is silent in both British and American English. Example. The lemon sorbet was the perfect way to end such a rich meal. Clean and sharp and beautifully refreshing. Repeat. Sorbet, sorbet. Word 36. Jalapeno. Common mispronunciation. Jalapeno. Correct pronunciation. Jalapeno. The J makes an H sound in Spanish, and the Ñ makes a Ni sound. Example. She added sliced jalapeno to the guacamole, and it gave it exactly the kick it needed. Repeat. Jalapeno, jalapeno. Word 37. Macaron. Common mispronunciation. Macaron. Correct pronunciation. Macaron. This is not the same as a macaroon, which is a coconut biscuit. A macaron is a French sandwich biscuit. Example. The raspberry macaron was so delicate it almost dissolved the moment it touched her tongue. Repeat. Macaron, macaron. Word 38. Non. Common mispronunciation. Non. Correct pronunciation. Non. Rhymes with barn. The vowel is long, like the A in father. Example. We ordered 3 different types of naan and used them to scoop up the remaining curry from the bowl. Repeat. Naan, naan. Word 39. Pho. Common mispronunciation. Pho. Correct pronunciation. Pho. This Vietnamese soup is one of the most mispronounced words in any language. Example. On cold days, there is nothing she craves more than a large bowl of pho with extra herbs on the side. Repeat. Pho, pho. Word 40. Cacao. Common mispronunciation. Cacao. Correct pronunciation. Cacao. The stress is on the second syllable, not the first. Example. The chocolate is made from single origin cacao, and you can taste the difference immediately. Repeat. Cacao, cacao. Word 41. Sherbet. Common mispronunciation. Sherbet. Correct pronunciation. Sherbet. There is no second R. Many people insert one that simply does not exist in this word. Example. The children were delighted when the party bags each contained a packet of fizzy sherbet. Repeat. Sherbet, sherbet. Word 42. Turmeric. Common mispronunciation. Turmeric. Correct pronunciation. Turmeric. The first syllable sounds like tu, not tur in careful speech, though turmeric is widely accepted. Example. She adds turmeric to almost everything she cooks, and the golden color makes every dish look beautiful. Repeat. Turmeric, turmeric. Word 43. Focaccia. Common mispronunciation. Focaccia. Correct pronunciation. Focaccia. The CC in Italian makes a CH sound. Example. The focaccia arrived warm from the oven with rosemary and sea salt pressed into its perfectly oiled surface. Repeat. Focaccia, focaccia. Word 44. Edamame. Common mispronunciation. Edamame. Correct pronunciation. Edamame. 4 syllables with the stress on the third. This is Japanese. Example. They started with edamame and miso soup while deciding which rolls to order from the sushi menu. Repeat. Edamame, edamame. Word 45. Hummus. Common mispronunciation. Hummus or humus. Correct pronunciation. Hummus. The H is pronounced, and the first syllable is short, like the word hum. Example. She makes her own hummus every week and says the homemade version is incomparably better than anything you can buy. Repeat. Hummus, hummus. Word 46. Charcuterie. Common mispronunciation. Charcuterie. Correct pronunciation. Charcuterie. The CH makes a SH sound in this French word. Example. The charcuterie board was so beautifully arranged that everyone photographed it before they touched a single piece. Repeat. Charcuterie, charcuterie. Word 47. Parmesan. Common mispronunciation. Parmesan. Correct pronunciation. Parmesan. The stress is on the first syllable, and the final "an" sounds like the word tan. Example. She grated fresh Parmesan over the pasta, and the aroma that filled the kitchen was extraordinary. Repeat. Parmesan, Parmesan. Word 48. Caramel. Common mispronunciation. Caramel. Correct pronunciation. Caramel or caramel. Both are accepted, but the 3-syllable version is more standard in British English. Example. The caramel sauce drizzled over the ice cream was perfectly salty, and I absolutely could not stop eating it. Repeat. Caramel, caramel. Word 49. Lychee. Common mispronunciation. Lychee. Correct pronunciation. Lychee. The first syllable sounds like the word lee, not like the word lie. Example. The lychee cocktail was refreshing and delicate, and far less sweet than she had expected it to be. Repeat. Lychee, lychee. Word 50. Chamomile. Common mispronunciation. Chamomile. Correct pronunciation. Chamomile. The CH makes a K sound, and the final syllable rhymes with mile. Example. She drinks chamomile tea every evening before bed and says it has genuinely transformed the quality of her sleep. Repeat. Chamomile, chamomile. 50 words done. And I want to say something here. Food vocabulary is deeply personal. It is tied to culture, to travel, to identity. When you pronounce these words correctly, you are not just speaking better English. You are showing respect for the cultures and languages that gave us these wonderful words. Let us continue. Category 3. Medical and body words. These 25 words appear in medical conversations, health articles, and everyday discussions about the body. They are often mispronounced because medical language borrows heavily from Latin and Greek. Word 51. Asthma. Common mispronunciation. Asthma. Correct pronunciation. Asthma. The TH is completely silent. This is a 2-syllable word. Example. She has had asthma since childhood, but manages it well, and it rarely interrupts her daily life anymore. Repeat. Asthma, asthma. Word 52. Prescription. Common mispronunciation. Prescription. Correct pronunciation. Prescription. The first syllable is pre, not per, a very common confusion. Example. The doctor wrote a prescription and told her to return in 2 weeks if the symptoms hadn't improved. Repeat. Prescription. Prescription. Word 53. Nausea. Common mispronunciation. Nausea. Correct pronunciation. Nausea. 2 syllables in natural speech. The zia makes a z sound. Example. The nausea hit her in waves, and she had to sit down for several minutes before she felt well enough to continue. Repeat. Nausea. Nausea. Word 54. Eczema. Common mispronunciation. Eczema. Correct pronunciation. Eczema. The CZ makes a simple X sound. 3 syllables. Example. The cold, dry winter air always aggravates her eczema, and she has to be very careful about which products she uses. Repeat. Eczema. Eczema. Word 55. Diarrhea. Common mispronunciation. Diarrhea. Correct pronunciation. Diarrhea. The stress is on the 3rd syllable. Re. Example. One of the most common symptoms reported after taking that particular medication is diarrhea in the first few days. Repeat. Diarrhea. Diarrhea. Word 56. Phlegm. Common mispronunciation. Phlegm. Correct pronunciation. Phlegm. The GH is completely silent. This is just one syllable. Example: when you have a chest infection, the body produces excess phlegm as part of the immune response. Repeat. Phlegm, phlegm. Word 57. Anesthetic. Common mispronunciation. Anesthetic. Correct pronunciation. Anesthetic. The AE at the start is silent, and the stress falls on the third syllable. Example: the surgeon explained the type of anesthetic they would use and assured her she would feel absolutely nothing. Repeat. Anesthetic, anesthetic. Word 58. Psoriasis. Common mispronunciation. Psoriasis. Correct pronunciation. Psoriasis. The P is completely silent, 4 syllables with stress on the second. Example: living with psoriasis requires careful management of triggers, and she has become an expert at understanding her own skin. Repeat. Psoriasis, psoriasis. Word 59. Dyslexia. Common mispronunciation. Dyslexia. Correct pronunciation. Dyslexia. The Y in dys makes a short I sound, 4 syllables. Example: once her dyslexia was properly diagnosed and supported, her academic performance improved dramatically within a term. Repeat. Dyslexia, dyslexia. Word 60. Ophthalmologist. Common mispronunciation. Ophthalmologist. Correct pronunciation. Ophthalmologist. The OPH makes an F sound, 5 syllables. Example: she was referred to an ophthalmologist after her optician noticed something unusual during the routine eye examination. Repeat. Ophthalmologist, ophthalmologist. Word 61. Hyperbole. Common mispronunciation. Hyperbole. Correct pronunciation. Hyperbole. 4 syllables. The E at the end is pronounced. This surprises almost everyone. Example: her talent for hyperbole means you can never quite tell whether something went slightly wrong or was a genuine disaster. Repeat. Hyperbole, hyperbole. Word 62. Defibrillator. Common mispronunciation. Defibrillator. Correct pronunciation. Defibrillator. 5 syllables. The stress is on the second syllable. Example: all staff completed training on how to use the defibrillator and where the nearest one was located in the building. Repeat. Defibrillator, defibrillator. Word 63. Arthritis. Common mispronunciation. Arthritis. Correct pronunciation. Arthritis. The stress falls on the second syllable. Thry sounds like the word try. Example: her arthritis is most painful in the cold months, and she takes extra care to keep her hands warm in winter. Repeat. Arthritis, arthritis. Word 64. Aneurysm. Common mispronunciation. Aneurysm. Correct pronunciation. Aneurysm. 3 syllables. The EU makes a y sound. Example: he was rushed to hospital after doctors suspected an aneurysm, and the speed of the response almost certainly saved his life. Repeat. Aneurysm. Aneurysm. Word 65. Menstruation. Common mispronunciation. Menstruation. Correct pronunciation. Menstruation. The stress falls on the third syllable. A. Example: open and accurate education about menstruation from an early age helps young people understand their own bodies better. Repeat. Menstruation. Menstruation. Word 66. Placebo. Common mispronunciation. Placebo. Correct pronunciation. Placebo. The stress is on the second syllable. C. Example: the placebo effect is one of the most fascinating and well-documented phenomena in medical research. Repeat. Placebo. Placebo. Word 67. Gastroenteritis. Common mispronunciation. Gastroenteritis. Correct pronunciation. Gastroenteritis. 6 syllables with the stress falling on the fifth. Example: half the office came down with gastroenteritis after the team lunch, and it was a very uncomfortable few days. Repeat. Gastroenteritis. Gastroenteritis. Word 68. Schizophrenia. Common mispronunciation. Schizophrenia. Correct pronunciation. Schizophrenia. The SCH makes a sk sound. 5 syllables. Example: schizophrenia is widely misunderstood. An accurate public education about the condition is incredibly important. Repeat. Schizophrenia. Schizophrenia. Word 69. Diabetes. Common mispronunciation. Diabetes. Correct pronunciation. Diabetes. The stress is on the third syllable, and the final S makes a Z sound. Example: managing diabetes requires consistent attention to diet and daily exercise, and she handles it with extraordinary discipline. Repeat. Diabetes. Diabetes. Word 70. Hemorrhage. Common mispronunciation. Hemorrhage. Correct pronunciation. Hemorrhage. The AE makes an E sound, 3 syllables, and the GH is completely silent. Example: emergency surgery was required after the patient suffered an internal hemorrhage during the procedure. Repeat. Hemorrhage. Hemorrhage. Word 71. Cervical. Common mispronunciation. Cervical. Correct pronunciation. Cervical or cervical. Both pronunciations exist, but the British version is more common in medical contexts. Example: the cervical screening program helps detect potential issues at the earliest and most treatable stage. Repeat. Cervical. Cervical. Word 72. Uterus. Common mispronunciation. Uterus. Correct pronunciation. Uterus. The stress is on the first syllable, and the middle syllable is reduced. Example: the scan showed that the uterus was completely healthy and there was nothing of concern to investigate further. Repeat. Uterus. Uterus. Word 73. Homeopathy. Common mispronunciation. Homopathy. Correct pronunciation. Homeopathy. The stress falls on the third syllable, op. 5 syllables in total. Example: she tried homeopathy alongside conventional treatment, and while the evidence is debated, she found it personally helpful. Repeat. Homeopathy. Homeopathy. Word 74. Cardiologist. Common mispronunciation. Cardiologist. Correct pronunciation. Cardiologist. The stress falls on the third syllable. All. 5 syllables. Example: after the test results came back, she was immediately referred to a cardiologist for a more detailed examination. Repeat. Cardiologist. Cardiologist. Word 75. Chiropractor. Common mispronunciation. Chiropractor. Correct pronunciation. Chiropractor. The CH makes a k sound. 4 syllables with stress on the first. Example: he visited the chiropractor twice a week for a month, and the improvement in his back pain was remarkable. Repeat. Chiropractor. Chiropractor. 75 words done, and this medical category shows us something fascinating about English. It borrowed enormously from Latin and Greek and kept many of the original pronunciations while completely changing the spelling rules. Once you understand those patterns, PH equals F, GH is usually silent, initial PS makes just an S sound, a whole world of medical language opens up to you. Let us keep going. Category 4. Technology and science words. These 25 words appear in tech conversations, science articles, and modern professional environments. Technology has created a wave of new words that people often mispronounce because they see them written before they hear them spoken. Word 76. Algorithm. Common mispronunciation. Algorithm. Correct pronunciation. Algorithm. 4 syllables. The stress falls on the first syllable. Example: the search algorithm was updated overnight and it changed the results for millions of users by the morning. Repeat. Algorithm. Algorithm. Word 77. Cache. Common mispronunciation. Cache. Correct pronunciation. Cache. 1 syllable only. It rhymes with cash. The E is completely silent. Example: clearing the cache on your browser often solves the loading problem without needing any further troubleshooting. Repeat. Cache. Cache. Word 78. GIF. Common mispronunciation. GIF. Correct pronunciation. GIF or GIF. This is one of the great pronunciation debates in the internet age. Both are accepted, but JIF is the creator's preferred version. Example: she sent a GIF of a dancing cat in response, and it completely broke the tension in the conversation. Repeat. GIF, GIF. Word 79. Nuclear. Common mispronunciation. Nuclear. Correct pronunciation. Nuclear. 3 syllables. The word is nuclear, not nuclear. A very common error even among native speakers. Example: the documentary about nuclear energy raised important questions about both its risks and its potential benefits. Repeat. Nuclear. Nuclear. Word 80. Ethernet. Common mispronunciation. Ethernet. Correct pronunciation: Ethernet. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. The E is long. Example: connecting via Ethernet rather than Wi-Fi significantly improved the stability of her connection during video calls. Repeat: Ethernet. Ethernet. Word 81. Meme. Common mispronunciation: mem or meme. Correct pronunciation: meme. 1 syllable that rhymes with team. It was coined by Richard Dawkins in 1976. Example: the meme spread across every platform within hours, and by evening it had been seen by millions of people. Repeat: meme. Meme. Word 82. Nanotechnology. Common mispronunciation: nanotechnology. Correct pronunciation: nanotechnology. 7 syllables with the stress on the fifth. Example: advances in nanotechnology are opening possibilities in medicine that would have seemed like science fiction 20 years ago. Repeat: nanotechnology. Nanotechnology. Word 83. Biopic. Common mispronunciation: biopic. Correct pronunciation: biopic. 3 syllables. It is short for biographical picture, not a single word. Example: the biopic about her life was one of the most talked about films of the year and won 3 major awards. Repeat: biopic. Biopic. Word 84. Data. Common mispronunciation: data, always. Correct pronunciation: data, British, or data, data, American. In British English, the A is always long. Day. Example: the data collected over 6 months painted a very clear picture of how customer behavior was changing. Repeat: data. Data. Word 85. Plagiarism. Common mispronunciation: plagiarism. Correct pronunciation: plagiarism. 4 syllables. The middle syllables collapse together. Example: the student's essay was flagged for plagiarism, and the case was referred to the Academic Integrity Committee. Repeat: plagiarism. Plagiarism. Word 86. Epitome. Common mispronunciation: epitome. Correct pronunciation: epitome. 4 syllables. The E at the end is always pronounced. This is one of the most common mistakes in English. Example: she is the epitome of calm under pressure and never once raises her voice, no matter what is happening around her. Repeat: epitome. Epitome. Word 87. Paradigm. Common mispronunciation: paradigm. Correct pronunciation: paradigm. 3 syllables. The GN at the end makes no sound at all. Example: the invention of the internet represented a genuine paradigm shift in the way human beings access and share information. Repeat: paradigm. Paradigm. Word 88. Hypnosis. Common mispronunciation: hypnosis. Correct pronunciation: hypnosis. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. No. Example: She tried hypnosis to help with her anxiety, and while she was skeptical at first, she found the sessions surprisingly effective. Repeat. Hypnosis. Hypnosis. Word 89. Ethernet. Common mispronunciation. Already covered. Let us move forward. Word 89. Genome. Common mispronunciation. Genome. Correct pronunciation. Genome. 2 syllables. The G makes a J sound and the E is long. Example. Mapping the human genome was one of the most significant scientific achievements of the 20th century. Repeat. Genome. Genome. Word 90. Physicist. Common mispronunciation. Physicist. Correct pronunciation. Physicist. 3 syllables. The PH makes an F sound and the Y makes an I sound. Example. The physicist who presented at the conference was remarkably good at making complex ideas feel accessible and exciting. Repeat. Physicist. Physicist. Word 91. Facade. Common mispronunciation. Facade or facade. Correct pronunciation. Facade. The C with cedilla makes an S sound, and the stress is on the second syllable. Example. Behind the confident facade, she was actually deeply nervous about the outcome of the presentation. Repeat. Facade. Facade. Word 92. Entrepreneur. Common mispronunciation. Entrepreneur. Correct pronunciation. Entrepreneur. 5 syllables with the stress on the final syllable. This French word is notoriously tricky. Example. She became a successful entrepreneur before the age of 30 by solving a problem everyone else had overlooked. Repeat. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. Word 93. Debris. Common mispronunciation. Debris. Correct pronunciation. Debris, British, or debris. The S is completely silent in both varieties. Example. The storm left a trail of debris across the road that took the entire morning to clear properly. Repeat. Debris. Debris. Word 94. Deteriorate. Common mispronunciation. Deteriorate. Correct pronunciation. Deteriorate. 5 syllables with the stress on the second. Example. If the situation continues to deteriorate, we will have no choice but to escalate the matter immediately. Repeat. Deteriorate. Deteriorate. Word 95. Omniscient. Common mispronunciation. Omniscient. Correct pronunciation. Omniscient. 3 syllables in natural speech. The scient collapses to shunt. Example. The narrator in that novel is omniscient and knows every thought of every character in the story simultaneously. Repeat. Omniscient. Omniscient. Word 96. Quintet. Common mispronunciation. Quintet. Correct pronunciation. Quintet. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. Example. The string quintet performed brilliantly and received a standing ovation at the end of a truly extraordinary evening. Repeat. Quintet. Quintet. Word 97. Subtle. Common mispronunciation. Subtle. Correct pronunciation. Subtle. The B is completely silent. 2 syllables only. Example. The changes she made to the design were subtle, but they made an enormous difference to how the product looked. Repeat. Subtle, subtle. Word 98. Niche. Common mispronunciation. Niche. Correct pronunciation. Niche, British, or niche. Both are accepted, but niche is standard in British English. Example. She found her niche in sustainable packaging and built a very successful consultancy around that specialization. Repeat. Niche, niche. Word 99. Anachronism. Common mispronunciation. Anachronism. Correct pronunciation. Anachronism. 5 syllables with the stress on the second. Example. The film was beautifully made, but it contained one glaring anachronism that historians immediately noticed and wrote about. Repeat. Anachronism. Anachronism. Word 100. Bourgeois. Common mispronunciation. Bourgeois. Correct pronunciation. Bourgeois. 2 syllables. The G makes a Z sound and the S is completely silent. Example. The novel explores the tensions between bourgeois society and the working class with remarkable clarity and humor. Repeat. Bourgeois. Bourgeois. 100 words. A third of the way through, and you are doing brilliantly. The technology and science category teaches us something profound. English absorbs words from every corner of the world and keeps just enough of the original pronunciation to make things interesting. Once you understand that GH is usually silent, that CH can make a K or SH sound depending on the word's origin, and that terminal E is often pronounced in words from Latin and Greek, so much becomes clearer. Let us keep going. Category 5. Geography and place names. These 25 words are places, countries, and geographical features whose names in English sound completely different from how they look written down, and from how they sound in their original languages. Word 101. Worcester. Common mispronunciation. Worcester. Correct pronunciation. Worcester. Only 2 syllables, one of English's most famous spelling traps. Example. The city of Worcester is home to a beautiful medieval cathedral that draws visitors from all over the world. Repeat. Worcester. Worcester. Word 102. Gloucester. Common mispronunciation. Gloucester. Correct pronunciation. Gloucester. 2 syllables only. The middle syllables disappear completely. Example. The Gloucester cheese rolling competition takes place every year and attracts thousands of spectators from across the country. Repeat. Gloucester. Gloucester. Word 103. Edinburgh. Common mispronunciation. Edinburgh. Correct pronunciation. Edinburgh. 3 syllables with the burr collapsing to bruh. Example. Edinburgh in the summer is one of the most exciting cities in Europe, with the festival transforming every street. Repeat. Edinburgh. Edinburgh. Word 104. Leicester. Common mispronunciation. Leicester. Correct pronunciation. Leicester. 2 syllables only. The ice disappears entirely. Example. Leicester City's Premier League title win in 2016 is one of the greatest sporting stories of the modern era. Repeat. Leicester. Leicester. Word 105. Qatar. Common mispronunciation. Qatar. Correct pronunciation. Qatar. 2 syllables with the Q making a hard K sound, not a KW sound. Example: Qatar hosted the FIFA World Cup in 2022, and it was the first time the tournament had been held in the Middle East. Repeat. Qatar. Qatar. Word 106. Chili. Common mispronunciation. Chili, like the pepper. Correct pronunciation. Chili. Actually the same as the pepper, but worth noting the country is not Chile or Chile. Example: Chile stretches for an extraordinary length down the western coast of South America. Repeat. Chile. Chile. Word 107. Niger. Common mispronunciation. Niger, like Nigeria without the IA. Correct pronunciation. Niger. The country in West Africa takes a French-influenced pronunciation. Example: Niger is one of the largest countries in Africa and sits at the southern edge of the Sahara Desert. Repeat. Niger. Niger. Word 108. Thailand. Common mispronunciation. Thailand. Correct pronunciation. Thailand. The TH makes a simple T sound, not the TH sound of the or thought. Example: Thailand is one of the most visited countries in Southeast Asia and consistently tops travel wish lists worldwide. Repeat. T-Y land. Thailand. Word 109. Can. Common mispronunciation. Cans. Correct pronunciation. Can. The S is completely silent in this French city name. Example: The Cannes Film Festival attracts the biggest names in world cinema every May to the French Riviera. Repeat. Can. Can. Word 110. Hawaii. Common mispronunciation. Hawaii. Correct pronunciation. Ha-Y-E. 3 syllables with the W making a Y sound. Example: She spent 2 weeks in Hawaii hiking through rainforests and watching the sunrise over the volcanic landscape. Repeat. Hawaii. Hawaii. Word 111. Cairo. Common mispronunciation. Cairo. Correct pronunciation. Cairo. Actually, this is correct. 2 syllables rhyming with gyro. Example: Cairo is one of the most extraordinary cities on earth, where ancient monuments stand among a thriving modern metropolis. Repeat. Cairo. Cairo. Word 112. Niagara. Common mispronunciation. Niagara. Correct pronunciation. Niagara. 3 syllables in natural speech with the stress on the second. Example: Seeing Niagara Falls for the first time is an experience that genuinely stops you in your tracks. Repeat. Niagara. Niagara. Word 113. Mediterranean. Common mispronunciation. Med-it-er-a-ni-en. Correct pronunciation. Mediterranean. Mediterranean. 6 syllables with the stress on the fourth. Example: the Mediterranean diet has been linked to a wide range of health benefits in numerous long-term studies. Repeat. Mediterranean. Mediterranean. Word 114. Caribbean. Common mispronunciation. Caribbean. Always. Correct pronunciation. Caribbean or Caribbean. Both are widely used and accepted. The British pronunciation stresses B. Example: they spent their honeymoon sailing between islands in the Caribbean, and both agree it was the most beautiful trip of their lives. Repeat. Caribbean. Caribbean. Word 115. Sahara. Common mispronunciation. Sahara. Correct pronunciation. Sahara. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. Hair. Example: the Sahara is far more varied than people imagine. It contains mountains, oases, and even rivers below the sand. Repeat. Sahara. Sahara. Word 116. Appellation. Common mispronunciation. Appalachian. Correct pronunciation. Appalachian. 5 syllables with the stress on the third, and the ending collapses. Example: the Appalachian Trail is one of the longest hiking paths in the world, stretching through 14 American states. Repeat. Appalachian. Appalachian. Word 117. Himalayas. Common mispronunciation. Himalayas. Correct pronunciation. Himalayas. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Ah. Example: crossing the Himalayas by road is one of the most dramatic journeys a traveler can undertake anywhere on Earth. Repeat. Himalayas. Himalayas. Word 118. Nairobi. Common mispronunciation. Nairobi. Correct pronunciation. Nairobi. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: Nairobi is one of the most dynamic and rapidly growing cities on the African continent. Repeat. Nairobi. Nairobi. Word 119. Worcestershire, the county. Already covered as a sauce. Let us move forward. Word 119. Connecticut. Common mispronunciation. Connecticut. Correct pronunciation. Connecticut. 4 syllables, but the first C in connect is silent in the full state name. Example: Connecticut is one of the smallest states in America, but has one of the highest incomes per capita in the country. Repeat. Connecticut. Connecticut. Word 120. Isle of Wight. Common mispronunciation. Isle of Wight. Correct pronunciation. Isle of Wight. The isle sounds like the word I plus ul. Example: the Isle of Wight Festival is one of the oldest and most beloved music festivals in the entire United Kingdom. Repeat. Isle of Wight. Isle of Wight. Word 121. Dubai. Common mispronunciation. Dubai. Correct pronunciation. Dubai. 2 syllables with the stress clearly on the second. By. Example: Dubai has transformed from a small fishing port to one of the most extraordinary cities in the world in just 50 years. Repeat. Dubai, Dubai. Word 122, Worcester sauce. Already covered, let us keep moving. Word 122, Bruges. Common mispronunciation, Bruges. Correct pronunciation, Bruges. One syllable in natural English. The jez makes a z sound. Example, Bruges in winter is one of the most magical cities in Europe. Silent canals and medieval architecture under gray skies. Repeat, Bruges, Bruges. Word 123, Istanbul. Common mispronunciation, Istanbul. Correct pronunciation, Istanbul. 3 syllables with the stress on the final syllable. Example, Istanbul sits at the crossroads of Europe and Asia and feels like 2 continents beautifully colliding in one extraordinary city. Repeat, Istanbul, Istanbul. Word 124, Versailles. Common mispronunciation, Versailles. Correct pronunciation, Versailles. 2 syllables only in English, and the les are completely silent. Example, the Palace of Versailles is one of the most opulent buildings ever constructed, and the gardens are breathtaking in scale. Repeat, Versailles, Versailles. Word 125, Mozambique. Common mispronunciation, Mozambique. Correct pronunciation, Mozambique. 3 syllables with the stress on the final syllable. Example, Mozambique has some of the most spectacular and unspoiled coastline in all of Africa. Repeat, Mozambique, Mozambique. 125 words done, and the geography category teaches us something wonderful about the English language. It travels everywhere and then refuses to say place names the way the locals do. Edinburgh becomes Edinburgh. Leicester becomes Leicester. Versailles becomes Versailles. English compression at its most dramatic. Let us continue into our second half. Category 6, Words from the Arts and Culture. These 25 words appear in discussions about music, literature, film, theater, and the wider cultural world. Word 126, Genre. Common mispronunciation, genre or genre. Correct pronunciation, genre. 2 syllables. The G makes a Z sound, and the E is not pronounced at the end. Example, she writes across every genre, but is best known for her psychological thrillers, which always debut at number 1. Repeat, genre, genre. Word 127, choir. Common mispronunciation, choir. Correct pronunciation, choir. 2 syllables. The CH makes a K sound, and the OI makes a Y sound. Example, she joined the school choir at 7 and has been singing every week of her life in one form or another ever since. Repeat, KW wire, choir. Word 128, debut. Common mispronunciation, debut. Correct pronunciation, debut. 2 syllables, and the T at the end is completely silent. Example, her debut novel received extraordinary reviews and sold over 100,000 copies in its first week. Repeat, debut, debut. Word 129, Baroque. Common mispronunciation, Baroque. Correct pronunciation, Baroque. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. It rhymes with spoke. Example: the Baroque architecture of the cathedral is so elaborate that every surface seems to be telling a different story. Repeat. Baroque. Baroque. Word 130. Facade. Common mispronunciation. Facade. Correct pronunciation. Facade. Already covered. Let us move forward. Word 130. Epithet. Common mispronunciation. Epithet. Correct pronunciation. Epithet. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. Example: the epithet cruel but fair followed him throughout his career in a way he found both accurate and slightly uncomfortable. Repeat. Epithet. Epithet. Word 131. Concerto. Common mispronunciation. Concerto. Correct pronunciation. Concerto. 3 syllables. The C before E makes a CH sound in Italian, which English has kept. Example: the piano concerto was performed flawlessly and brought the entire audience to its feet at the final note. Repeat. Concerto. Concerto. Word 132. Renaissance. Common mispronunciation. Renaissance. Correct pronunciation. Renaissance, British, or Renaissance, American. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. Example: the Renaissance transformed art, science, and human thought across Europe in ways that are still being felt today. Repeat. Renaissance. Renaissance. Word 133. Avant-garde. Common mispronunciation. Avant-garde. Correct pronunciation. Avant-garde. 3 syllables with the T silent and the an making an on sound. Example: her photography is deliberately avant-garde and challenges viewers to reconsider what images are supposed to look like. Repeat. Avant-garde. Avant-garde. Word 134. Cello. Common mispronunciation. Cello. Correct pronunciation. Cello. The CE makes a CH sound. The instrument name comes from Italian. Example: the cello solo in the second movement was so beautiful that several people in the audience were visibly emotional. Repeat. Cello. Cello. Word 135. Soliloquy. Common mispronunciation. Soliloquy. Correct pronunciation. Soliloquy. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the actor's delivery of the soliloquy was so powerful that the entire theater fell completely silent around him. Repeat. Soliloquy. Soliloquy. Word 136. Silhouette. Common mispronunciation. Silhouette. Correct pronunciation. Silhouette. 3 syllables with the stress on the final syllable. The E at the end is pronounced. Example: the silhouette of the cathedral against the evening sky was one of the most dramatic sights of the entire journey. Repeat. Silhouette. Silhouette. Word 137. Pastiche. Common mispronunciation. Pastiche. Correct pronunciation. Pastiche. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. The ch makes a sh sound. Example: the film was a loving pastiche of classic noir, and everyone who saw it recognized the affection behind every scene. Repeat. Pastiche. Pastiche. Word 138. Oeuvre. Common mispronunciation. Oeuvre. Correct pronunciation. Oeuvre. 2 syllables in English. The OE makes a short U sound. Example: looking at the artist's complete oeuvre, you can trace a remarkable journey from her earliest experimental work to her mature masterpieces. Repeat. Oeuvre. Oeuvre. Word 139. Paparazzi. Common mispronunciation. Paparazzi. Correct pronunciation. Paparazzi. 4 syllables with the stress on the third. The Z makes a TS sound in Italian. Example: a crowd of paparazzi surrounded the venue entrance and waited for hours in the hope of a single photograph. Repeat. Paparazzi. Paparazzi. Word 140. Macabre. Common mispronunciation. Macabre. Correct pronunciation. Macabre. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. The final E is sometimes silent. Example: the film had a distinctly macabre atmosphere that made it impossible to watch alone late at night. Repeat. Macabre. Macabre. Word 141. Vernacular. Common mispronunciation. Vernacular. Correct pronunciation. Vernacular. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the novel is written entirely in the local vernacular and captures the rhythm of everyday speech with extraordinary accuracy. Repeat. Vernacular. Vernacular. Word 142. Bouquet. Common mispronunciation. Bouquet. Correct pronunciation. Bouquet. 2 syllables with the T completely silent. This French word kept its original pronunciation. Example: he arrived with a spectacular bouquet of flowers, and she was genuinely moved by the thoughtfulness of the gesture. Repeat. Bouquet. Bouquet. Word 143. Cacophony. Common mispronunciation. Cacophony. Correct pronunciation. Cacophony. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the first 5 minutes of the new composition was a deliberate cacophony that slowly resolved into something breathtakingly beautiful. Repeat. Cacophony. Cacophony. Word 144. Denouement. Common mispronunciation. Denouement. Correct pronunciation. Denouement. 3 syllables with a nasal final syllable inherited from French. Example: the denouement of the novel was so unexpected that she went back and reread the final chapter 3 times to absorb it. Repeat. Denouement. Denouement. Word 145. Naive. Common mispronunciation. Knave. Correct pronunciation. Naive. 2 syllables with the diaresis over the I, meaning both vowels are pronounced separately. Example: she wasn't naive about the risks. She understood them clearly and chose to proceed anyway with full awareness. Repeat. Naive, naive. Word 146. Aesthetic. Common mispronunciation. Aesthetic. Correct pronunciation. Aesthetic. 3 syllables. The AE makes an E sound, and the stress falls on the second syllable. Example: the aesthetic of the exhibition was so carefully considered that even the color of the walls had been chosen deliberately. Repeat. Aesthetic, aesthetic. Word 147. Mosaic. Common mispronunciation. Mosaic. Correct pronunciation. Mosaic. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the mosaic floor of the ancient bathhouse was so perfectly preserved it looked as though it had been laid last week. Repeat. Mosaic, mosaic. Word 148. Nuance. Common mispronunciation. Nuance. Correct pronunciation. Nuance. 2 syllables with the stress on the first. The ow makes an ah sound. Example: the translation is technically accurate, but loses much of the nuance that makes the original so powerful. Repeat. Nuance, nuance. Word 149. Ambience. Common mispronunciation. Ambience. Correct pronunciation. Ambience. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. The ence collapses to unce. Example: the ambience of the restaurant was so carefully created that everyone immediately felt they had left the city behind. Repeat. Ambience, ambience. Word 150. Cachet. Common mispronunciation. Cachette. Correct pronunciation. Cachet. 2 syllables with the T completely silent. From French. Example: working for that particular firm carries enormous cachet in the industry and opens doors that would otherwise stay firmly closed. Repeat. Cachet, cachet. 150 words, halfway through the masterclass. And if you are still here, I want to say something to you directly. You are doing something today that most learners never do. You are going beyond vocabulary and grammar and into the real sound of English, the language that people actually speak, not just the language that gets written down. That is an extraordinary thing to do, and I am proud of you for it. Let us finish strong together. Category 7. Business and legal words. These 25 words appear in professional settings, contracts, meetings, and the formal English of business and law. Word 151. Negotiate. Common mispronunciation. Negotiate. Correct pronunciation. Negotiate. 5 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: she was brought in specifically to negotiate the terms of the contract because of her extraordinary track record. Repeat. Negotiate, negotiate. Word 152. Liaison. Common mispronunciation. Liaison. Correct pronunciation. Liaison. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: She acts as the liaison between the two departments and makes sure that nothing important falls through the gap between them. Repeat. Liaison. Liaison. Word 153. Hierarchy. Common mispronunciation. Hierarchy. Correct pronunciation. Hierarchy. 4 syllables with the stress on the first. The CH makes a K sound. Example. The organizational hierarchy was restructured completely, and for a while, nobody was quite sure who reported to whom. Repeat. Hierarchy. Hierarchy. Word 154. Subpoena. Common mispronunciation. Subpoena. Correct pronunciation. Subpoena. 3 syllables with the B completely silent and the stress on the second. Example. She received a subpoena requiring her to testify before the committee the following Thursday morning. Repeat. Subpoena. Subpoena. Word 155. Remuneration. Common mispronunciation. Remuneration. Correct pronunciation. Remuneration. 6 syllables with the stress on the fourth, and not to be confused with remuneration, which is not a real word. Example. The remuneration package includes a salary, performance bonus, private health care, and 5 weeks annual leave. Repeat. Remuneration. Remuneration. Word 156. Fiduciary. Common mispronunciation. Fiduciary. Correct pronunciation. Fiduciary. 6 syllables with the stress on the second. Example. The trustee has a fiduciary duty to act in the best interests of the beneficiaries at all times without exception. Repeat. Fiduciary. Fiduciary. Word 157. Omnibus. Common mispronunciation. Omnibus. Correct pronunciation. Omnibus. 3 syllables with the stress on the first, same as the bus. Example. The omnibus edition of the drama aired on Sunday and drew the highest ratings of the entire series. Repeat. Omnibus. Omnibus. Word 158. Hegemony. Common mispronunciation. Hegemony. Correct pronunciation. Hegemony. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. The G makes a J sound. Example. The company's hegemony in the market lasted for 2 decades before a startup disrupted everything overnight. Repeat. Hegemony. Hegemony. Word 159. Malfeasance. Common mispronunciation. Malfeasance. Correct pronunciation. Malfeasance. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. The sance collapses to zuns. Example. The investigation found evidence of malfeasance at the highest levels of the organization and resulted in several resignations. Repeat. Malfeasance. Malfeasance. Word 160. Arbitration. Common mispronunciation. Arbitration. Correct pronunciation. Arbitration. 5 syllables with the stress on the third. Example. Both parties agreed to resolve the dispute through arbitration rather than pursue an expensive court case. Repeat. Arbitration. Arbitration. Word 161. Collateral. Common mispronunciation. Collateral. Correct pronunciation. Collateral. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example, the bank required collateral before approving the loan, and they put up the warehouse as security. Repeat. Collateral, collateral. Word 162. Jurisdiction. Common mispronunciation. Jurisdiction. Correct pronunciation. Jurisdiction. 4 syllables with the stress on the third. Example, the case fell outside the jurisdiction of the local court and had to be referred to a higher authority. Repeat. Jurisdiction. Jurisdiction. Word 163. Annuity. Common mispronunciation. Annuity. Correct pronunciation. Annuity. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example, she chose to take her pension as an annuity rather than a lump sum for the security of a guaranteed monthly income. Repeat. Annuity. Annuity. Word 164. Indemnity. Common mispronunciation. Indemnity. Correct pronunciation. Indemnity. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example, the indemnity clause in the contract protected them fully in the event of any third-party claims arising from the work. Repeat. Indemnity. Indemnity. Word 165. Posthumous. Common mispronunciation. Posthumous. Correct pronunciation. Posthumous. 3 syllables with the TH making a CH sound in natural speech. The H is silent. Example, the novel was published posthumously and became far more celebrated than anything he had released during his lifetime. Repeat. Posthumous. Posthumous. Word 166. Plagiarism. Already covered. Let us move forward. Word 166. Antecedent. Common mispronunciation. Antecedent. Correct pronunciation. Antecedent. 4 syllables with the stress on the third. Example, the antecedent to the current regulation was a far less specific piece of legislation passed in the early 1990s. Repeat. Antecedent. Antecedent. Word 167. Contemporaneous. Common mispronunciation. Contemporaneous. Correct pronunciation. Contemporaneous. 6 syllables with the stress on the fourth. Example, the 2 documents were contemporaneous, which significantly strengthened the case for authenticity. Repeat. Contemporaneous. Contemporaneous. Word 168. Remiss. Common mispronunciation. Remiss. Correct pronunciation. Remiss. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. The first syllable is reduced. Example, I would be remiss not to mention the enormous contribution that the junior members of the team made to this result. Repeat. Remiss. Remiss. Word 169. Exacerbate. Common mispronunciation. Exacerbate. Correct pronunciation. Exacerbate. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example, ignoring the problem will only exacerbate it, and by next quarter it will be significantly harder to address. Repeat. Exacerbate. Exacerbate. Word 170. Mischievous. Common mispronunciation. Mischievous. Correct pronunciation. Mischievous. 3 syllables only. There is no 4th syllable. This is one of the most widespread mispronunciations in English. Example: he has a mischievous sense of humor that catches people off guard and always makes meetings more enjoyable. Repeat. Mischievous. Mischievous. Word 171. Prescribe versus proscribe. Worth noting these two together. Prescribe. Prescribe means to recommend or order a treatment or course of action. Proscribe. Prescribe means to officially forbid something. Example of prescribe. The doctor prescribed rest and a course of antibiotics. Example of proscribe. The regulation prescribes the use of that particular chemical in food production. Repeat. Prescribe. 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 Proscribe. Word 172. Insidious. Common mispronunciation. Insidious. Correct pronunciation. Insidious. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the most insidious effects of the policy were not felt immediately, but built slowly over the following 3 years. Repeat. Insidious. Insidious. Word 173. Bureaucracy. Common mispronunciation. Bureaucracy. Correct pronunciation. Bureaucracy. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the amount of bureaucracy involved in getting even basic approval had become a serious obstacle to growth. Repeat. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. Word 174. Sovereignty. Common mispronunciation. Sovereignty. Correct pronunciation. Sovereignty. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable collapses. Example: questions of national sovereignty were at the center of the debate, and passions on both sides ran extremely high. Repeat. Sovereignty. Sovereignty. Word 175. Synergy. Common mispronunciation. Synergy. Correct pronunciation. Synergy. 3 syllables with the stress on the first and the Y making an I sound. Example: the merger was sold to shareholders on the promise of synergy, but the reality proved far more complicated than the projections. Repeat. Synergy. Synergy. 175 words done, and the business and legal category shows us why precision in pronunciation matters so enormously in professional contexts. When you say mischievous correctly, when you know the difference between prescribe and proscribe, when you pronounce posthumous and remuneration without hesitation, you communicate authority and command respect in any formal situation. 3 more categories and we reach 300. Category 8. Words that are spelled one way and said another. These 25 words are famous for the gap between their spelling and their pronunciation. They are the words that make even native English children struggle. Word 176. Colonel. Common mispronunciation. Col-o-nel. Correct pronunciation. Colonel. 2 syllables only. It sounds exactly like the word kernel. This is perhaps the single most extreme spelling versus pronunciation gap in English. Example: Colonel Harrison addressed the troops in a calm and authoritative voice that immediately commanded their complete attention. Repeat. Colonel. Colonel. Word 177. Q. Common mispronunciation. Q-E-U-E. Correct pronunciation. Q. Only the first letter makes a sound. The other four letters are entirely silent. Example: there was already a queue forming outside the venue, even though the doors wouldn't open for another 2 hours. Repeat. Queue, queue. Word 178. Night. Common mispronunciation. Knight. Correct pronunciation. N-Y-T. The KN makes only an N sound, and the GH is completely silent. One syllable only. Example: the knight in the painting is depicted in full armor with an expression of absolute determination on his face. Repeat. N-Y-T. Night. Word 179. Pneumonia. Common mispronunciation. Pneumonia. Correct pronunciation. Pneumonia. 3 syllables in natural speech. The P is completely silent and the nia collapses. Example: he was hospitalized with pneumonia, but responded well to treatment and was discharged after 5 days. Repeat. Pneumonia. Pneumonia. Word 180. Psychology. Common mispronunciation. Psychology. Correct pronunciation. Psychology. The P is completely silent and the Y makes a short I sound. Example: she studied psychology at university and found that the more she learned, the more she wanted to know. Repeat. Psychology. Psychology. Word 181. Sword. Common mispronunciation. Sword. Correct pronunciation. Sword. The W is completely silent. It rhymes with Lord. Example: the sword on display in the museum is believed to be over 800 years old and is still in remarkable condition. Repeat. Sword. Sword. Word 182. Island. Common mispronunciation. Island. Correct pronunciation. Island. The S is completely silent. 2 syllables. Example: they spent a week on a tiny island with no internet access and came back looking completely transformed. Repeat. Island. Island. Word 183. Debt. Common mispronunciation. Debit. Correct pronunciation. Debt. The B is completely silent. 1 syllable only. Example: she paid off every penny of her debt within 4 years through extraordinary discipline and careful budgeting. Repeat. D-E-T. Debt. Word 184. Doubt. Common mispronunciation. Daubit. Correct pronunciation. Doubt. The B is completely silent. It rhymes with out and shout. Example: I have absolutely no doubt that she will handle the situation with exactly the kind of grace we have come to expect. Repeat. Doubt. Doubt. Word 185. Subtle. Already covered. Let us keep moving. Word 185. Salmon. Common mispronunciation. Salmon. Correct pronunciation. Salmon. The L is completely silent. 2 syllables only. Example: the poached salmon was perfectly cooked and sat on a bed of wilted greens with a light lemon sauce. Repeat. Salmon. Salmon. Word 186. Receipt. Common mispronunciation. Receipt. Correct pronunciation. Receipt. The P is completely silent. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. Example. Always ask for a receipt when you pay in cash, so you have a record of the transaction in case anything goes wrong. Repeat. Receipt. Receipt. Word 187. Time. Common mispronunciation. Thymie or time. Correct pronunciation. Time. The TH makes a T sound and the E is silent. It rhymes with time. Example. She scattered fresh thyme over the roasted vegetables, and the aroma that filled the kitchen was extraordinary. Repeat. TYM. Time. Word 188. Gnome. Common mispronunciation. Gnome. Correct pronunciation. Gnome. The G is completely silent. 1 syllable only. Example. A small stone gnome sat in the corner of the garden, looking out from under an enormous mushroom hat. Repeat. Gnome. Gnome. Word 189. Rot. Common mispronunciation. Rot. Correct pronunciation. Rot. The W is silent. The GH is silent. It rhymes with caught and thought. Example. The wrought iron gate at the entrance was so intricately designed that people stopped to photograph it every day. Repeat. Rot. Rot. Word 190. Air. Common mispronunciation. Here or hair. Correct pronunciation. Air. The H is completely silent. It sounds exactly like the word heir. Example. She was named as the sole heir to the estate, and the news came as a complete surprise to everyone, including her. Repeat. Heir. Heir. Word 191. Holy. Common mispronunciation. Holy. Correct pronunciation. Holy. The W is silent. It sounds exactly like the word holy. Example. The project was wholly funded by a private donation, and no public money was used at any point. Repeat. Holy. Holy. Word 192. Plumber. Common mispronunciation. Plumber. Correct pronunciation. Plumber. The B is completely silent. 2 syllables only. Example. The plumber arrived within the hour and fixed the leak so efficiently that the whole job was finished in 30 minutes. Repeat. Plumber. Plumber. Word 193. Handkerchief. Common mispronunciation. Handkerchief. Correct pronunciation. Handkerchief. 3 syllables in natural speech. The D in hand is silent, and the final syllable is reduced. Example. He always carried a cotton handkerchief in his breast pocket and considered it a small but important act of elegance. Repeat. Handkerchief. Handkerchief. Word 194. Wednesday. Already covered in Category 1. Word 194. Comb. Common mispronunciation. Comba. Correct pronunciation. Comb. The B is completely silent. 1 syllable only. Example. She ran a comb through her hair one last time, and went out to face what she knew was going to be a long day. Repeat. Comb, comb. Word 195. Wrist. Common mispronunciation. Wrist. Correct pronunciation. Wrist. The W is completely silent, one syllable only. Example. She fractured her wrist in the fall and had to wear a cast for 6 weeks, which she found intensely frustrating. Repeat. Wrist, wrist. Word 196. Muscle. Common mispronunciation. Muscle. Correct pronunciation. Muscle. The C is completely silent, 2 syllables. Example. She pulled a muscle in her back moving furniture, and it took over 2 weeks to recover properly. Repeat. Muscle, muscle. Word 197. Vehicle. Common mispronunciation. Vehicle. Correct pronunciation. Vehicle. 3 syllables with the H almost completely silent. The stress is on the first syllable. Example. The vehicle was so well maintained that it showed no signs of its age despite being over 15 years old. Repeat. Vehicle, vehicle. Word 198. Parliament. Common mispronunciation. Parliament. Correct pronunciation. Parliament. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable collapses dramatically. Example. Parliament debated the bill for 3 days before it was passed in the early hours of Friday morning. Repeat. Parliament, Parliament. Word 199. Cupboard. Common mispronunciation. Cupboard. Correct pronunciation. Cupboard. 2 syllables in natural speech. The P is almost silent, and board becomes erd. Example. She kept the good china in the cupboard above the fridge and only brought it out for special occasions. Repeat. Cupboard, cupboard. Word 200. Forecastle. Common mispronunciation. Forecastle. Correct pronunciation. Forecastle. 2 syllables only. One of the most dramatic reductions in English. Example. The sailors gathered on the forecastle to watch the horizon as the ship made its final approach to port. Repeat. Fo hawk dash sol. Forecastle. 200 words done, and this spelling category is my personal favorite because it shows us something beautiful and slightly chaotic about the English language. It was shaped by centuries of invasion, migration, and language mixing. Old English from the Anglo-Saxons, Old French from the Normans, Latin from the Church, Greek from scholars, each language left its mark on the spelling, but the pronunciation kept changing. And today we have words like kernel, queue, and forecastle as monuments to that extraordinary history. Let us continue. Category 9. Words English borrowed from other languages. These 25 words came into English from other languages and kept enough of their original pronunciation to catch people off guard. Word 201. Karaoke. Common mispronunciation. Karaoke. Correct pronunciation. Karaoke. 4 syllables. This Japanese word has 4 clear syllables, not 3. Example. The karaoke bar near the station became a weekly ritual for the team, and everyone had a signature song. Repeat. Karaoke. Karaoke. Word 202. Manga. Common mispronunciation. Manga. Correct pronunciation. Manga. 2 syllables with the stress on the first. The A is short, not long. Example: she had been reading manga since she was 12, and her collection now filled an entire bookshelf. Repeat. Manga. Manga. Word 203. Tortilla. Common mispronunciation. Tortilla. Correct pronunciation. Tortilla. 3 syllables with the L making a Y sound, as in Spanish. Example: she wrapped the filling in a warm tortilla and added a generous spoonful of guacamole on the side. Repeat. Tortilla. Tortilla. Word 204. Faux pas. Common mispronunciation. Fox pass. Correct pronunciation. Faux pas. 2 syllables. Both the X and the S are completely silent in this French phrase. Example: referring to the CEO by his first name at the opening of the meeting was a rather significant faux pas. Repeat. Faux pas. Faux pas. Word 205. Cliché. Common mispronunciation. Cliché. Correct pronunciation. Cliché. 2 syllables with the CH making a SH sound. From French. Example: I know it sounds like a cliché, but moving abroad truly was the most transformative experience of her entire adult life. Repeat. Cliché. Cliché. Word 206. Entrepreneur. Already covered in Category 4. Word 206. Camouflage. Common mispronunciation. Cam-o-flage. Correct pronunciation. Cam-a-flage. 3 syllables with the final GE making a ZH sound. Example: the insect's camouflage was so perfect that even when you knew it was there, you could barely make it out. Repeat. Camouflage. Camouflage. Word 207. Ballet. Common mispronunciation. Ballet. Correct pronunciation. Ballet. 2 syllables with the T completely silent. From French. Example: she started ballet at 4 years old and spent 20 years training before joining a professional company. Repeat. Ballet. Ballet. Word 208. Chateau. Common mispronunciation. Château. Correct pronunciation. Chateau. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. From French. Example: the wine was produced at a chateau in Bordeaux, and its quality was immediately evident on the first sip. Repeat. Chateau. Chateau. Word 209. Potpourri. Common mispronunciation. Potpourri. Correct pronunciation. Potpourri. 3 syllables with the stress on the final syllable. From French. Example: a bowl of potpourri sat on the windowsill, filling the entire hallway with a warm and welcoming fragrance. Repeat. Potpourri. potpourri. Word 210, rendezvous. Common mispronunciation. Rendezvous. Correct pronunciation. Rendezvous. 3 syllables with the S completely silent. From French. Example: they arranged a rendezvous at the cafe on the corner at noon, and both arrived exactly on time. Repeat. Rendezvous. Rendezvous. Word 211, kaizen. Common mispronunciation. Kaizen. Correct pronunciation. Kaizen. 2 syllables with the first sounding like the word sky without the S. Example: the factory adopted a Kaizen approach to quality improvement and saw remarkable gains within the first 6 months. Repeat. Kaizen. Kaizen. Word 212, anime. Common mispronunciation. Anime or anim. Correct pronunciation. Anime. 3 syllables with the E pronounced at the end. Example: her love of anime began with one series she watched as a teenager and grew into a deep and lasting passion. Repeat. Anime. Anime. Word 213, coup de grace. Common mispronunciation. Coup de grace. Correct pronunciation. Coup de grace. The S at the end is actually pronounced in this French phrase because it ends the phrase. Example: the final revelation in the last chapter was the coup de grace that made the whole novel click perfectly into place. Repeat. Coup de grace. Coup de grace. Word 214, feng shui. Common mispronunciation. Feng shui. Correct pronunciation. Feng shui. 2 syllables. The eng sounds like ung, and the shui sounds like shui. Example: she rearranged the entire living room according to feng shui principles and said the energy of the space changed completely. Repeat. Feng shui. Feng shui. Word 215, taboo. Common mispronunciation. Tab-oo. Correct pronunciation. Ta-boo. 2 syllables with the stress on the second. From Tongan via English. Example: discussing money was considered taboo in her family, and she grew up with almost no understanding of personal finance. Repeat. Taboo. Taboo. Word 216, papyrus. Common mispronunciation. Pa-pi-ris. Correct pronunciation. Pa-pi-ris. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. Example: the document was written on papyrus and was so fragile that it could only be examined under strict controlled conditions. Repeat. Pa-pi-ris. Papyrus. Word 217, resume. Common mispronunciation. Resume. Correct pronunciation. Resume. 3 syllables. The French accent marks mean both E's are pronounced. From French. Example: she spent an entire weekend rewriting her resume before the application deadline and felt it was significantly stronger. Repeat. Resume. resume. Word 218, papadum. Common mispronunciation, pap-a-dum. Correct pronunciation, papadum. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. From Tamil. Example, they started with papadum and chutney while waiting for the curry and agreed it was a perfect way to begin. Repeat, papadum, papadum. Word 219, schadenfreude. Common mispronunciation, schadenfreude. Correct pronunciation, schadenfreude. 4 syllables. The sh makes a sh sound, and the final syllable is a, not silent. Example, she felt a twinge of schadenfreude when her most critical colleague got the same feedback from the director. Repeat, schadenfreude, schadenfreude. Word 220, déjà vu. Common mispronunciation, déjà vu. Correct pronunciation, déjà vu. 3 syllables with the J making a Z sound. From French. Example, she had an overwhelming sense of déjà vu as she walked through the house she had visited in a dream years before. Repeat, déjà vu, déjà vu. Word 221, bonsai. Common mispronunciation, bonsai. Correct pronunciation, bonsai. 2 syllables with the AI making an AY sound. From Japanese. Example, he has cared for the same bonsai tree for over 20 years and considers it one of his most precious possessions. Repeat, bonsai, bonsai. Word 222, tsunami. Common mispronunciation, tsunami or tsunami. Correct pronunciation, tsunami. 3 syllables with the TS sound at the start, fully pronounced. Example, the early warning system detected the tsunami with enough time for most coastal communities to reach higher ground. Repeat, tsunami, tsunami. Word 223, espionage. Common mispronunciation, espionage. Correct pronunciation, espionage. 4 syllables with the final GE making a Z sound. Example, the novel combined romance and espionage in such a clever way that you could never quite predict which would win out. Repeat, espionage, espionage. Word 224, chutzpah. Common mispronunciation, chutzpah. Correct pronunciation, chutzpah. The CH makes an H sound in Yiddish. 2 syllables. Example, it took real chutzpah to walk into that boardroom with no formal credentials and pitch the entire strategy herself. Repeat, chutzpah, chutzpah. Word 225, kimono. Common mispronunciation, kimono. Correct pronunciation, kimona. 3 syllables with the final O reduced to a in English speech. Example, she wore a silk kimono to the exhibition as a tribute to the Japanese art on display, and the effect was striking. Repeat, kimona, kimono. 225 words done. And I love this borrowed words category because it reminds us that English is the greatest collector of words in human history. It takes from every language it meets: Japanese, French, Tongan, Yiddish, Tamil, Arabic, and it makes them its own. When you pronounce these words correctly, you are not just speaking English better. You are honoring the cultures that gave these words to the world. 3 final categories. Category 10, commonly confused pronunciation pairs. These 25 pairs look or sound similar, but have different pronunciations and meanings. Learning them together prevents one of the most common types of pronunciation error. Word 226 and 227. Desert versus dessert. Desert. Des-ert, noun, the dry landscape. Or desert, verb, to abandon. Dessert. Dessert, the sweet course after a meal. The noun desert has stress on the first syllable. The dessert we eat and the verb to desert both have stress on the second. Example: after crossing the desert for 3 days, he finally understood why his guide had said never to skip dessert the night before. Repeat. Desert. Desert, the place. Dessert. Dessert, the sweet. Word 228 and 229. Refuse, noun, versus refuse, verb. Refuse, the noun, rubbish. Refuse, stress on first syllable. Refuse, the verb, to decline. Refuse, stress on second syllable. Example: the city collected refuse every Monday, but he refused to put his bins out the night before after a neighbor complained. Repeat. Refuse, the rubbish. Refuse, to decline. Word 230 and 231. Wind, noun, versus wind, verb. Wind, the noun, moving air. Wind rhymes with pinned. Wind, the verb, to twist or coil. Wind rhymes with find. Example: the wind was so strong that she had to wind the scarf twice around her face before stepping outside. Repeat. Wind, the air. Wind, to coil. Word 232 and 233. Live, verb, versus live, adjective. Live, the verb. Live rhymes with give. Live, the adjective, not recorded. Live rhymes with 5. Example: she chose to live near the city because she loved attending live music events at short notice. Repeat. Live, to live. Live, live performance. Word 234 and 235. Close, adjective, versus close, verb. Close, the adjective, nearby. Close rhymes with dose. Close, the verb, to shut. Close rhymes with those. Example: the door is very close to the heating unit, so please make sure you close it fully each time you leave the room. Repeat. KLOHS, nearby. KLOHZ, to shut. Word 236 and 237. Tear, crying, versus tear, ripping. Tear from an eye. Tear rhymes with hear. Tear as in ripping. Tear rhymes with hair. Example: she didn't shed a single tear when she decided to tear up the letter and begin her response again from scratch. Repeat. Tear from the eye, tear to rip. Word 238 and 239. Wound, injury versus wound, past tense of wind. Wound the injury. Wound rhymes with moon. Wound as past tense of to wind. Wound rhymes with found. Example: the rope was wound so tightly around the wound that circulation was being restricted. Repeat. Wound, the injury. Wound, coiled, past tense. Word 240 and 241. Minute, time, versus minute, adjective, meaning tiny. Minute, the time unit. Minute. Minute, the adjective. Minute. Example: the scientist spent a minute examining the minute details of the sample under the microscope. Repeat. Minute, 60 seconds. Minute, extremely small. Word 242 and 243. Bass, fish, versus bass, music. Bass, the fish. Bass rhymes with class. Bass, the musical term. Bass rhymes with face. Example: the bass guitar lines in that song are extraordinary, and the bass fishing competition is held on the same weekend every year. Repeat. Bass, the fish. Bass, the musical range. Word 244 and 245. Sewer, drainage, versus sewer, one who sows. Sewer, the drainage pipe. Sewer. Sewer, one who sows. Sower. Example: the sewer who made the costume had never worked near the old sewer that ran beneath the costume district. Repeat. Sewer, drainage. Sower, one who sows. Word 246. Moped, common confusion. Moped, a motorized bicycle, versus moped, as in was sad, past tense of mope. Moped, the vehicle, stress on first syllable. Moped. Moped, past tense of mope. M-O-H-P-T. Example: she moped around the house all day and then cheered up immediately when someone offered her a ride on their moped. Repeat. M-O-H-P-T. Felt sad. M-O-H-ped, the vehicle. Word 247 and 248. Polish versus Polish. Polish, the nationality or language. Polish, capital P, first syllable stress. Polish, the verb, meaning to shine. Polish, lowercase, same pronunciation actually. Key point: both are polish. What changes is only the capitalization and meaning, not the sound. Example: she used Polish furniture polish on the antique table, and the result was extraordinary. Word 249. Valid person versus valid, not valid. Invalid, a sick person. Invalid. Stress on first syllable. Allow. Not valid. Invalid. Stress on second syllable. Example. The invalid ticket was declared invalid before the passenger could board, and nobody could explain why. Repeat. Invalid. A person. Invalid. Not valid. Word 250. Row argument versus row to paddle. Row the argument. British English. Row rhymes with cow. Row to paddle a boat. Row rhymes with go. Example. After the terrible row on Friday evening, he found that rowing alone on the lake was the only thing that helped. Repeat. Row like cow, the argument. Row like go, to paddle. 250 words done. And this pairs category is so important because these words catch even advanced learners completely off guard. The same letters, completely different sounds. The key is always context. The meaning of the sentence tells you which pronunciation to use. And now you know both. 2 final categories. Category 11. Words from academic and intellectual life. These 25 words appear in lectures, essays, intellectual discussions, and any context where ideas are being explored at a serious level. Word 251. Paradigm. Already covered. Let us keep moving forward. Word 251. Albeit. Common mispronunciation. Albeit. Correct pronunciation. Albeit. 3 syllables with the stress on the second. It means although. Example. The project was a success, albeit a smaller one than originally projected when the funding was first approved. Repeat. Albeit. Albeit. Word 252. Hegemony. Already covered. Word 252. Concomitant. Common mispronunciation. Concomitant. Correct pronunciation. Concomitant. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means naturally accompanying. Example. The concomitant rise in housing costs and decline in wages created a crisis that affected an entire generation. Repeat. Concomitant. Concomitant. Word 253. Dichotomy. Common mispronunciation. Dichotomy. Correct pronunciation. Dichotomy. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means a division into 2 opposing things. Example. The dichotomy between what the policy promised and what it delivered became increasingly impossible to ignore. Repeat. Dichotomy. Dichotomy. Word 254. Anachronism. Already covered. Word 254. Ephemeral. Common mispronunciation. Ephemeral. Correct pronunciation. Ephemeral. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means lasting for only a short time. Example. Social media trends are almost entirely ephemeral. What is everywhere one week is forgotten the next. Repeat. Ephemeral. Ephemeral. Word 255. Ubiquitous. Common mispronunciation. Ubiquitous. Correct pronunciation. Ubiquitous. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means appearing everywhere. Example: smartphones have become so ubiquitous that seeing someone without one now draws more attention than seeing one. Repeat. Ubiquitous, ubiquitous. Word 256. Prerogative. Common mispronunciation. Prerogative. Correct pronunciation. Prerogative. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. The first syllable is pre, not per. Example: it is entirely your prerogative to decline the offer, but I would encourage you to think carefully before you do. Repeat. Prerogative, prerogative. Word 257. Superfluous. Common mispronunciation. Superfluous. Correct pronunciation. Superfluous. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means more than is needed. Example: the report was thorough, but included several paragraphs of superfluous detail that slowed the reader down considerably. Repeat. Superfluous, superfluous. Word 258. Irrevocable. Common mispronunciation. Irrevocable. Correct pronunciation. Irrevocable. 5 syllables with the stress on the second. It means cannot be changed or undone. Example: once the decision was made, it was irrevocable and everyone in the room understood the weight of that moment. Repeat. Irrevocable, irrevocable. Word 259. Antithesis. Common mispronunciation. Antithesis. Correct pronunciation. Antithesis. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It means the direct opposite of something. Example: his leadership style was the complete antithesis of his predecessors, and the culture of the team changed within weeks. Repeat. Antithesis, antithesis. Word 260. Solipsism. Common mispronunciation. Solipsism. Correct pronunciation. Solipsism. 4 syllables with the stress on the first. It means the view that only the self exists. Example: his critics accused him of a kind of solipsism that made it impossible for him to genuinely listen to other perspectives. Repeat. Solipsism, solipsism. Word 261. Phenomenal. Common mispronunciation. Phenomenal. Correct pronunciation. Phenomenal. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Remarkable or extraordinary. Example: the response to the exhibition was phenomenal, and the gallery extended its run by 2 additional months. Repeat. Phenomenal, phenomenal. Word 262. Cacophonous. Common mispronunciation. Cacophonous. Correct pronunciation. Cacophonous. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning harsh and discordant in sound. Example: the construction outside the office was so cacophonous that 3 people asked to work from home for the week. Repeat. Cacophonous, cacophonous. Word 263. Perspicacious. Common mispronunciation. Perspicacious. Correct pronunciation. Perspicacious. 5 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning having a ready insight into things. Example: she was one of the most perspicacious readers he had ever met, and her feedback always cut straight to the heart of the work. Repeat. Perspicacious, perspicacious. Word 264. Conscientious. Common mispronunciation. Conscientious. Correct pronunciation. Conscientious. 4 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning thorough and careful. Example: she is the most conscientious person on the team, and the quality of her work is consistently extraordinary. Repeat. Conscientious. Conscientious. Word 265. Ambiguous. Common mispronunciation. Ambiguous. Correct pronunciation. Ambiguous. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning open to more than one interpretation. Example: the instruction was ambiguous enough that 3 different people interpreted it in 3 completely different ways. Repeat. Ambiguous. Ambiguous. Word 266. Inextricable. Common mispronunciation. Inextricable. Correct pronunciation. Inextricable. 5 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning impossible to separate. Example: the histories of the 2 cities are inextricable, and you cannot truly understand one without understanding the other. Repeat. Inextricable. Inextricable. Word 267. Equivocal. Common mispronunciation. Equivocal. Correct pronunciation. Equivocal. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning open to 2 interpretations. Example: his response to the question was deliberately equivocal, and nobody in the room was quite sure what he actually meant. Repeat. Equivocal. Equivocal. Word 268. Exacerbate. Already covered. Word 268. Idiosyncratic. Common mispronunciation. Idiosyncratic. Correct pronunciation. Idiosyncratic. 6 syllables with the stress on the 5th. Example: her idiosyncratic approach to design was not what the client expected, but the result was undeniably brilliant. Repeat. Idiosyncratic. Idiosyncratic. Word 269. Benevolent. Common mispronunciation. Benevolent. Correct pronunciation. Benevolent. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning well-meaning and kindly. Example: he was one of the most benevolent bosses she had ever worked for and genuinely cared about everyone's well-being. Repeat. Benevolent. Benevolent. Word 270. Ostensibly. Common mispronunciation. Ostensibly. Correct pronunciation. Ostensibly. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning apparently or seemingly. Example: the meeting was ostensibly about budgets, but everyone understood it was really about who would lead the new division. Repeat. Ostensibly. Ostensibly. Word 271. Ineffable. Common mispronunciation. Ineffable. Correct pronunciation. Ineffable. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning too great or extreme to be expressed in words. Example: there is an ineffable quality to the light in that part of the country at dusk that no photograph ever quite captures. Repeat. Ineffable. Ineffable. Word 272. Magnanimous. Common mispronunciation. Magnanimous. Correct pronunciation. Magnanimous. 4 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning generous or forgiving. Example: It was magnanimous of her to publicly praise the team that had beaten her after such a tightly contested competition. Repeat. Magnanimous. Magnanimous. Word 273. Sycophantic. Common mispronunciation. Sycophantic. Correct pronunciation. Sycophantic. 4 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning excessively flattering. Example. The review was so sycophantic that it actually undermined rather than supported the credibility of the product. Repeat. Sycophantic. Sycophantic. Word 274. Loquacious. Common mispronunciation. Loquacious. Correct pronunciation. Loquacious. 3 syllables with the stress on the second, meaning very talkative. Example. She is wonderfully loquacious at dinner parties and has the rare gift of making every person feel included in the conversation. Repeat. Loquacious. Loquacious. Word 275. Pusillanimous. Common mispronunciation. Pusillanimous. Correct pronunciation. Pusillanimous. 5 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning showing a lack of courage. Example. The decision not to challenge the accusation was widely seen as pusillanimous, and it damaged his reputation considerably. Repeat. Pusillanimous. Pusillanimous. 275 words done, and this academic category shows us something important. The more precise and educated the context, the more often these pronunciation points matter. In a lecture theater, in a professional presentation, in a serious conversation, saying ubiquitous, ephemeral, and perspicacious with confidence and accuracy marks you as someone who has truly mastered the language at its highest level. One final category. Category 12. Everyday words that still trip people up. These final 25 words are everyday, familiar, common words that continue to be mispronounced by many learners, even at advanced levels. Finishing strong with these brings everything together. Word 276. Pronunciation. Common mispronunciation. Pronunciation. Correct pronunciation. Pronunciation. 5 syllables. Notice it is pronun, not pronoun. The word pronunciation does not contain the word pronounce. Example. Her pronunciation improved dramatically once she began paying attention to how words were actually spoken rather than just written. Repeat. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. Word 277. Kernel. Already covered, but worth repeating because it is so extreme. Kernel. 2 syllables. Rhymes with kernel. Word 277. Specific. Common mispronunciation. Expecific. Correct pronunciation. Specific. 3 syllables. There is no E at the start. It begins with SP, not ESP. Example. Can you be more specific about what you need? The more detail you give me, the more useful my answer will be. Repeat. Specific. Specific. Word 278. Nuclear. Already covered. Nuclear. 3 syllables. Word 278. Athlete. Common mispronunciation. Athlete. Correct pronunciation. Athlete. 2 syllables only. The middle syllable does not exist. Example, she trained as an athlete from the age of 8 and represented her country at the highest level for 12 years. Repeat, athlete, athlete. Word 279, realtor, common mispronunciation, realtor. Correct pronunciation, realtor. 2 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllables collapse entirely. Example, they worked with a realtor who really understood what they were looking for and found the perfect house within a week. Repeat, realtor, realtor. Word 280, hierarchy, already covered, hierarchy. Word 280, deteriorate, already covered, deteriorate. Word 280, miniature, common mispronunciation, miniature. Correct pronunciation, miniature. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle collapses dramatically. Example, the artist was known for her extraordinary miniature portraits, which required a magnifying glass to appreciate fully. Repeat, miniature, miniature. Word 281, temperature, already covered, temperature, but worth repeating. Word 281, accessories, common mispronunciation, accessories. Correct pronunciation, accessories. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. Example, she keeps all her accessories in a single drawer and says the simplicity of the system has transformed her mornings. Repeat, accessories, accessories. Word 282, supposedly, common mispronunciation, supposedly. Correct pronunciation, supposedly. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. The D must be pronounced. Example, she was supposedly finished with the report, but the final version still hadn't arrived by the end of the day. Repeat, supposedly, supposedly. Word 283, escape, common mispronunciation, escape. Correct pronunciation, escape. 2 syllables. The word begins with ES, not X. Example, she finally found a way to escape the cycle of overwork, and the difference it made to her health was immediate. Repeat, escape, escape. Word 284, February, already covered, February. Word 284, jewelry, already covered, jewelry. Word 284, especially, already covered, especially. Word 285, comfortable, already covered, comfortable. Word 285, mischievous, already covered, mischievous. Word 285, asterisk, common mispronunciation, asterisk. Correct pronunciation, asterisk. 3 syllables with the SK clearly at the end. The K at the end is not silent. Example, please note the asterisk at the bottom of the page, which refers to an important condition in the agreement. Repeat, asterisk, asterisk. Word 286, lackadaisical, common mispronunciation, lackadaisical. Correct pronunciation, lackadaisical. 5 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning lacking enthusiasm. Example: the lackadaisical approach that worked in the first quarter is simply not going to be sufficient in the current climate. Repeat: lackadaisical, lackadaisical. Word 287, sherbet, already covered, sherbet. Word 287, cavalry, common mispronunciation, Calvary. Correct pronunciation, cavalry. 3 syllables with the stress on the first. It means soldiers on horseback, not to be confused with cavalry, which is a different word entirely. Example: the cavalry arrived at precisely the right moment, and the situation which had looked hopeless was completely turned around. Repeat: cavalry, cavalry. Word 288, triathlon, common mispronunciation, triathlon. Correct pronunciation, triathlon. 3 syllables in natural speech. The middle syllable collapses. Example: she completed her first triathlon at the age of 42 and immediately signed up for a second one. Repeat: triathlon, triathlon. Word 289, espresso, already covered, espresso. Word 289, quinoa, already covered, quinoa. Word 290, Worcestershire, already covered, Worcestershire. Word 290, prerogative, already covered, prerogative. Word 291, homogeneous, common mispronunciation, homogeneous. Correct pronunciation, homogeneous. 5 syllables with the stress on the third, meaning of the same kind. Example: the team was remarkably homogeneous in its thinking, which produced consistency but not always the creativity they needed. Repeat: homogeneous, homogeneous. Word 292, deterioration, common mispronunciation, deterioration. Correct pronunciation, deterioration. 6 syllables with the stress on the fourth. Example: the deterioration in the relationship between the 2 companies had been gradual, but it was now impossible to ignore. Repeat: deterioration, deterioration. Word 293, government, common mispronunciation, government. Correct pronunciation, government or government. 3 syllables in careful speech, often reduced to 2 in natural speech. Example: the government announced the new policy at a press conference, and questions from journalists were sharp and immediate. Repeat: government, government. Word 294, parliament, already covered, parliament. Word 294, particularly, already covered, particularly. Word 295, environment, common mispronunciation, environment. Correct pronunciation, environment. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. The iron collapses to run in natural speech. Example: the working environment has changed enormously in the past 5 years, and most people are still adjusting to it. Repeat: environment, environment. Word 296, deteriorate, already covered. Word 296, comfortable, already covered. Word 296, etc. Common mispronunciation. Etc. Correct pronunciation, etc. 4 syllables with the stress on the second. It begins with et, not ek. Example. The brief covered the basics, timelines, budgets, deliverables, etc., and everyone left clear on expectations. Repeat. Etc. etc. Word 297. Across. Common mispronunciation. Across. Correct pronunciation. Across. 2 syllables. There is no T at the end, ever. Example. The news spread across the department within minutes, and by lunchtime, everyone in the building had heard. Repeat. Across. Across. Word 298. Often. Common mispronunciation. Often. Correct pronunciation. Often. 2 syllables. The T is silent in natural speech, though often is increasingly accepted in informal contexts. Example. She often arrives before anyone else and uses the quiet morning time to plan her entire day in detail. Repeat. Often. Often. Word 299. Clothes. Common mispronunciation. Clothes. Correct pronunciation. Clothes. 1 syllable only. The TH is almost completely silent in natural speech. It rhymes with those. Example. She donates a bag of clothes to charity every time she buys something new, and has done so for years. Repeat. Clothes. Clothes. Word 300. Pronunciation. Let us end exactly where we began, because this is the most important word in today's lesson. Pronunciation, not pronunciation. Pronunciation. Example. After today's lesson, your pronunciation will never be the same again. And that is exactly as it should be. Repeat. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. 300 words, 12 categories, and we have done it together. I want to sit with that for just a moment before we close, because what you have done in this lesson is genuinely extraordinary. You have worked through words from everyday life, food and drink, medicine, technology, geography, the arts, business, law, borrowed languages, word pairs, academic vocabulary, and some of the most common stumbling blocks for advanced learners. 300 words, and every single one of them said correctly now lives in your ear and in your mouth. Here is what I want you to know. English spelling is not a perfect guide to English pronunciation. It never has been. It is the result of centuries of history, language mixing, and change. And that used to be frustrating for you. But now it is fascinating. Because every strange pronunciation has a story behind it. Colonel comes from Italian, coronello, which passed through French. Q comes from the Latin cauda, meaning tail. Night had its K fully pronounced in Old English 1,000 years ago. When you know these things, English stops being a language full of traps and becomes a language full of stories. Here is what I want you to do right now before you close this lesson. Go back through the 12 categories and choose the 30 words that surprised you most. The ones you have been mispronouncing for years. The ones that made you say, I had no idea. Write them down. Say each one correctly 5 times out loud right now. And say them again tomorrow morning. In a week, they will be completely natural. And please, please, say the word pronunciation correctly from this moment forward. Pronunciation. Say it with me one last time. Pronunciation. This channel publishes a brand new English lesson every single day. If this lesson gave you something real today, please subscribe and press the bell icon right now so you never miss what is coming next. And if this masterclass helped you, please give it a like and share it with someone who loves English and wants to sound more natural. This lesson was made for exactly that person. Before you go, please subscribe to English in Moments and press the bell icon so you never miss a new lesson. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for spending this time with me today. I'm Elena from English in Moments, and I will see you in the very next lesson.